Welcome to the deep dive. So you send us sources, things you're curious about, and we dig in. We try to pull out the key insights, give you that shortcut to understanding.
Hmm.
And today we're looking into Rik Center's reflections. He's a co-founder of the Mindfulness Care Center,
Right.
and he's unpacking the Buddha's eightfold path in his writing, Nourish a Steady Heart, the Eightfold Path.
Yeah, and the idea is to see how these ancient teachings might help cultivate a steadier heart, a wiser mind.
Exactly. Especially now, when things feel so uncertain, maybe divided.
It feels really relevant,
Mm.
trying to distill some potential for peace, maybe clarity from what Center offers.
Okay, so where does he start? What's compelling right off the bat?
Well, what's interesting is how he immediately connects this ancient stuff to today. He starts with a quote from the Buddha.
Okay.
In the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create distinctions out of their own minds and then believe them to be true.
Huh. Wow. So straight away it's about how we create divisions.
That's how Center interprets it, yeah. That these lines we draw, east, west, us, them,
Mm.
they start in our own minds.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So
Yeah.
Center isn't just presenting it as like ancient history.
No, not at all.
He's saying this tendency to create distinctions, this habit, is actually a root cause of suffering, like right now.
Exactly. He argues that clinging to these mental separations, these self-made distinctions, that's where a lot of our trouble, our suffering really starts.
Right.
And Center suggests looking at the Buddha in a couple of ways here. Not just, a figurehead, but maybe like an educator.
An educator. How so?
Like someone offering a system, almost a curriculum, you could say, for freeing our minds, our hearts from these limitations we put on ourselves.
Okay, a system for liberation.
Yeah. And he also uses another analogy of the Buddha as a kind of compassionate doctor.
A doctor.
Yeah, like diagnosing the inherent unease, the dukkha of being human, and then offering medicine for it.
That's a powerful way to think about it. The medicine being these teachings, I
And
suppose.
That's the idea. Now, something Center brings up that's really fascinating
Mhm.
is that the Buddha himself, after his awakening, apparently hesitated. He wasn't sure about sharing what he'd found.
Really? Why? I mean, you'd think you'd want to shout it from the rooftops.
Well, the idea is that the insight was maybe too subtle, too profound. He worried others wouldn't grasp it.
Huh. So deep understanding isn't always easy to just transmit.
It seems not. But what Center really emphasizes is what happened next. The Buddha's compassion.
Oh, okay.
He saw that there were people, as the saying goes, with little dust in their eyes, people who could potentially awaken too.
So it was empathy, that compassion, that made him decide to teach after all.
Exactly. That's the turning point Center highlights.
And that leads right into his first actual teaching, doesn't it? The turning of the wheel of truth.
That's right. The Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Center gives us the context. This was Deer Park, Isipatana, maybe 2,600 years ago.
Long time.
A very long time. On a full moon day in July, apparently, speaking to just 5 ascetics, his old companions.
Just 5 people. It's amazing how it spread from there. But Center's point is, even after all this time.
The core issue, human suffering, it hasn't really changed.
Right.
And that first talk laid out the foundation, the 4 noble truths.
Okay, so these aren't like commandments, but more observations, a framework.
Yeah. Center presents them as a framework for investigation, for looking into your own experience.
Got it. So the first one is?
First, there is suffering. Or maybe better, stress, dissatisfaction, unease. The Pali word is dukkha. It's just part of life.
Okay. That baseline level of things not being quite right sometimes.
Then the second truth, there is an origin to this suffering.
And that is?
Identified primarily as discontentment, craving, attachment, wanting
Yeah.
things to be different than they are.
Okay. The wanting and the clinging makes sense.
The third truth offers the hope. There's a cessation possible. Freedom from this suffering is attainable.
So it's not hopeless. There's an end to it.
Right. And finally, the fourth truth. There's a path that leads to that freedom.
And that is the Eightfold Path.
Exactly. That's the practical how-to.
Okay, so let's quickly touch on those 8 elements. Center lists them out.
Right. So it starts with wise view, or right view, seeing things clearly as they really are, without illusions.
Okay, seeing reality.
Then wise intention, or right intention, cultivating wholesome motivations, thoughts of kindness, letting go of ill will.
So what's going on in your head?
Then wise speech, speaking truthfully, kindly, helpfully, avoiding lies, gossip, harsh words.
How you communicate.
Then wise action, acting ethically. Not harming, not stealing, ethical conduct.
Your behavior in the world.
Then wise livelihood, making a living in a way that doesn't cause harm to yourself or others.
Okay, your job matters.
Then wise effort, consciously directing your energy, putting effort into cultivating the good and letting go of the unhelpful.
Be mindful about where your energy goes.
Yeah. Then wise mindfulness, this is key, paying attention to the present moment, on purpose, without judgment.
Being present, aware.
And finally, wise concentration or right concentration, developing the ability to focus the mind to achieve mental calm and stability.
Okay, mental focus.
Yeah.
And center emphasizes this whole path is.
It's presented as the way leading to the cessation of stress. That's the goal.
Now, Rik Center brings this into the present with a really sharp question.
Yes, he asks, and it really makes you think. Do I wish to continue feeding a mind that resists the natural discomfort of being human?
Oof. Yeah, that hits home. Resisting the natural discomfort. How much energy goes into that?
A lot, potentially, and Center makes this crucial distinction, which is really insightful.
What's the distinction?
Between the actual discomfort itself, physical pain, difficult emotions, the stuff that just happens, and our resistance to it.
Ah, okay, so the pain versus fighting the pain.
Exactly. He suggests it's the fighting, the judging, the blaming, the pushing away. That's what really fuels our discontent. That's what creates ill will.
Not just towards ourselves, but outwards too.
Yeah, he connects it. When we resist our own discomfort, when we misunderstand it and react with blame or hostility,
That can easily spill over.
into conflict.
That's the idea. Internal conflict, beating yourself up, and external conflict, arguments, tension, even larger scale stuff.
So misunderstanding our own inner workings can actually contribute to outer division and strife.
That seems to be Center's point, which leads him to emphasize the power of choice.
Right, the choice point.
In any moment, really, when discomfort arises, when anger flares up, we have a choice. Do we feed that? Do we keep pouring fuel on the fire of anger, hatred, resistance? Or do we consciously choose something else? Do we choose to nurture kindness, compassion, understanding, even towards the discomfort itself?
And he makes the point that these choices we make now,
They actively shape our future,
yeah.
moment by moment.
Wow, okay. And to kind of illustrate this, especially in the context of division, he includes a poem he wrote.
Yes, called Hope of the Heart. And it's very much a reflection on these times.
What are some of the themes in it? Well, he starts by talking about crying not for loss, but for hope.
Okay.
Not striving for some kind of abstract perfection, but seeing the richness in just possibility.
Like appreciating potential.
Exactly. And a big theme is shifting focus from difference to commonality.
Seeing what connects us rather than what separates us.
Right. He contrasts what anger and hate offer, which he implies is ultimately empty, with the real gain, the fullness that only love can bring.
That sounds quite profound. What else?
There's this idea of turning towards things, not running away, even the difficult stuff.
Embracing the whole experience.
Yeah, and finding a sort of perfection right here, right now. Not in some ideal future, but in the vulnerability, the impermanence of this moment, this breath.
Wow. Finding perfection in impermanence. That's a shift.
It is, and he connects imagination with openness, with faith in the unknown. He even references Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote.
Which one?
Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.
Yes. Powerful. So trusting the process, even when the future's unclear.
Exactly. And the poem kind of builds towards this hope that people can stand together, facing that unknown future.
United by.
By love, kindness, compassion. He hopes these qualities can provide warmth, safety, and connect us back to our basic humanity.
How does it end?
It ends very simply. Amen. With a heart of peace, Rik Center.
With a heart of peace. That brings it all together nicely.
He does.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Rik Center's take on the Eightfold Path, what's the core takeaway?
I think it's really about understanding suffering, seeing that it's often not the difficult thing itself, but our fight against it, our resistance that causes the deepest pain.
Right. The resistance is key.
And knowing that gives you, it gives you power, the power to choose a different response.
A response guided more by wisdom, by compassion, maybe by that wise view and wise intention we talked about.
Exactly. Which leads to a question for you, the listener, to maybe reflect on.
Okay, what's the final thought?
Think about one area in your life right now where you feel discomfort, or maybe where you see division. Could be internal, could be external.
Okay, got one in mind.
Now, how might applying these ideas shift things? Really looking at the origin of that feeling, like the second noble truth.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging that freedom from its grip is possible, like the third.
Right.
And then consciously choosing a path forward marked by, say, more wisdom, more understanding, more kindness, the eightfold path elements. How might that change your perspective or even your actions?
That's definitely something to chew on, a practical way to apply this. It's a powerful framework for sure.
It really is. Worth sitting with.
Well, definitely food for thought. We hope you'll reflect on these ideas, maybe explore mindfulness or the Buddha's teachings further if it resonates. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.